We have one more very special guest joining us today, Mr. Robert Jośkowiak, the Honorary Consul of the Republic of Poland in Virginia. So please join me in welcoming Mr. Jośkowiak.
Hi, Vanessa, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Good. Now, the question I have now, how do I keep the dwindling number of people to pay attention, stay on this side for another hour and a half? No, just kidding, I don't have an hour and a half. After all those great presentations. So first of all, my congratulations to you and other members of the Polonium Foundation. Greatly appreciate all that you had done and the lineup of speakers that you had. And my creative mind is trying to combine the thinking about the ingredients of how do I make a cake that encompasses ribosomal crystallography and with special attention to tRNA translocation location. So this is kind of fascinating stuff. My talk was supposed to be a little bit more, measured. As an Honorary Consul of Poland, I wanted to make sure that that I looked at your event from the Polish perspective, right? So as many of you know, Poles have been present in Virginia since 1608. The first Poles that came into the country were actually craftsmen and trade workers. I call them entrepreneurs. They were the ones that found solutions to problems. They built the first well, they provided for security to the colonists, and they also created first products that had been produced and sold back to England. There were also the folks that went on first strike in 1619. Many people don't know that, but the Polish workers protested against not having a right to vote, which was only granted to the English-born citizens, and they won. So for the last over 400 years, the Poles and Polish Americans had a tremendous impact on the well-being and success of the United States. And today, I just wanted to briefly encompass three people that I think truly have a nice background that encompasses the art and the science. The first of all, and some of you probably heard of him already. I know Professor Miner listed him as one of accomplished Poles, is Dr. Hilary Koprowski, a graduate of medical school of University of Warsaw, and he was also a Warsaw Conservatory graduate as well. So he was a musician, scientist, a physician. In addition to this, he was also a Music Academy of Santa Cecilia in Rome graduate as well. So definitely music played a great role in his professional scientific work. And some of you probably know that Dr. Hilary Koprowski was the first who demonstrated first live polio vaccine, saving millions of lives of children in Congo and also Poland. In his spare time, he published over 875 various articles, scientific articles in the area of the research, and he especially worked early on monoclonal antibodies for cancer and rabies. It's kind of interesting that even back then, such research had been conducted. Another giant of science I wanted to cover is Professor Andrew Shalley, again mentioned by Professor Miner. He left Poland at the age of 13. I know he was also Hungarian, part of Hungarian lineage, and he lived in Romania before coming to this country. He was the discoverer of hypothalamic hormones. For his work and acumen of research, he was a winner of the Nobel Prize in Physiology and Medicine in 1977. And again, he has written over 2,200 publications, and he's probably one of the most cited scientists in the field of endocrinology. So unfortunately, the recent days brought a new development, and I wanted to celebrate maybe a life of another Pole who was a scientist, who was an educator, who recently passed. And actually today we are celebrating his life in Washington, D.C. And the one I have in mind is Professor Julian Kulski. And I'm not sure, Vanessa, if you can put the picture of, thank you, I appreciate it very much. He was one of the young heroes of the Warsaw Uprising. At the age of 15, he fought as a fully fledged soldier against the Nazis occupiers. He was wounded twice. He was captured and brought into the prison camp. He escaped from the camp and was smuggled to England. Came to the United States. He graduated with masters in architecture from Yale University, later finishing his doctorate degree at Warsaw Technical Institute. Dr. Professor Kulski had a long career, teaching career. He taught at the University of Notre Dame, George Washington University, Harvard University, Carnegie Mellon University, and of course, University of Virginia. He was here in 1978, a couple of years. So Professor Kulski was affiliated with World Bank, and he oversaw over 3,000 different projects on behalf of World Bank all over the world. So, so that's part of his academic and educational activities. But most importantly, Professor Kulski was a great patriot, and he was a strong activist for Poland and a friend to Polish diaspora. Dr. Kulski advocated closer ties between Poland and Polonia in order to properly recognize Poland's contributions to the United States, to defend Poland's interest and Poland's good name. And so unfortunately, we lost him. He was 92 years old. And today they're celebrating his life, I guess, in Washington, D.C. Today is also another celebration, a different type, I guess. It's the 234th anniversary of signing of the United States Constitution. This remarkable document lists the powers granted to the government and that protects the innate rights of us, the people. So my final word before all of you go and start enjoying the social ceremonies and maybe having some comments and networking from today's presentation is to all of you is to encourage you to always take the high road, both in research and in life. Having opportunity to share and having opportunity to listen to some of the speakers earlier today, I guess we can seek inspiration for an exemplary life from the famous people, from the researchers that came through before us, from the Polish history, from customs, from religious teachings. It is, in my opinion, especially important today to put our personal values above current political pressures and policies. When your research and careers are built on strong moral and scientific principles, they certainly will last much longer than based on some current ideas and protocols. So keep on asking questions, keep on being curious. And the older I get, the more I'm looking forward to learning about your amazing discoveries in the very near future. And I wish you all lots of success. And to organizers, I thank you so much for the great lineup of folks, speakers, and very interesting panelists. Thank you once again. And I'm not sure if I take any questions, but I wanted to thank you so much. Special thank you, indeed.
Thank you so much for joining us today and for this quick history lesson. Very interesting stuff as always. As it was just briefly mentioned by Mr. Jośkowiak, we have some social events in some places just right after this session. In some places like Charlotesville, we will meet tomorrow. So you can see all of the times are displayed in the local time. So to avoid any further confusion with the time zones, look out on your emails for the detailed information or contact directly the person responsible for the meetup. They are also presented on the screen. So one more time, thank you all for joining us today, for being with us this whole day, for our very first fully fledged Science Polish Perspective meetup in the USA. I hope that the next time we meet, we will be able to meet in person. So nice to see you all, and have a nice evening, night, or the rest of the day, depends on your location.